Good morning, children. How are you all? Hope you all are doing good. So, how were your Janmashtami holidays? Enjoyed it thoroughly? Good. Now, let's get back to work and start our normal routine by studies. Today, we shall be doing Chapter 7 David Begins a New Life, Part 2. In the previous two videos, you have learned about David in chapter 6, that is, David Begins a New Life, Part 1. Now, today we shall continue the same story, David Begins a New Life, Part 2. In Part 1, you learned about his struggle, how David lost his father before he was born. Then he was sent to a boarding school. Meanwhile, his mother also died, and then his stepfather, he ill treated him, and David finally had to run away from the house. He was not happy, so he ran away from the house. So, and after running from house, he comes to Miss Betsy, his aunt. Okay, and then lesson 6 also describes about his struggle, his journey from London to Dover, and how Miss Betsy accepts him as her child, and she and Mr. Dick jointly become his guardian. So, this is all what we have learnt in part 1 of David Begins a New Life. Now, in part 2, we will see what is next. Now, Mr. Dick and I soon became good friends. Now, here the narrator is David himself. So, he and Mr. Dick, they were good friends and they had a common interest, that is to fly kite, and they used to fly kites and together, and he was getting closer to Aunt Betsy as well. Now, one evening, Aunt told David that they must not forget his education also, and then she asked him if he would be happy to go to a school in Canterbury. David was ready for that, so he said he certainly would like to go, and also Canterbury was closer to Dover. So it was decided that after 2 days they would go to Canterbury. Now, when they left for Canterbury, Aunt Betsy informed him that they would first meet Mr. Wickfield. Mr. Wickfield was an old friend of Aunt Betsy, and he was the lawyer by profession, and he was also the steward of the estates of a rich and affluent gentleman of the country. Okay, now he was the one who used to take care of or manage the rich people's property. So, by profession, he was a lawyer and he was also steward. That is, he used to take care of rich people's property of the country. Okay. So, when they reached Mr. Wickfield's office, they were welcomed by a man called Uriah Heep, and he took them to the room where Mr. Wickfield was there. Now, as soon as Mr. Wickfield saw Miss Betsy, he greeted her. Well, Miss Trotwood. So, Miss Trotwood is Miss Betsy's surname, Miss Betsy Trotwood. So, he asked her that what brings her there, why she was there. Aunt Betsy replied that she wanted to prepare adoption papers for her nephew David. Okay, And then she said that she also wants advice on a school in Canterbury where David should join the school. And the school should be such that he is not only taught well but he is also treated well. Because we all know that David had a troublesome childhood, so he should be treated well also. So that was also of utmost importance. So Mr. Wickfield thought for a moment and then he said that the best school in that district, they won't have any room for boarders. But then if she wishes, she may live David with him. Okay, till further arrangements are made for the room in boarding, he may stay with Wickfields. Aunt was very happy, she was very grateful, and she said, I am obliged. And so is David. Both of them were obliged for his offer to arrange the stay for David. Now, Mr. Wickfield called his housekeeper, who was a little girl of almost David's age, and he told her and he introduced that she was her daughter Agnes. And then Agnes, she later told David that she had lost her mother when she was born, and she considered it her duty to take care of home as well as her father. Now, the arrangements were made and it was decided that David is going to stay there with Mr. Wickfield. Now, when Aunt Betsy prepared to leave, she suggested David never to be mean in anything, never to be cruel, and never be false. Avoid these three vices, that is, the wrong habits, and I can always be hopeful of you. So she suggested David that he should never be mean, he should never be cruel, and never be false to others. And if he avoided these three wrong habits, then she is hopeful and she is so sure that he is going to be a good person, a good human being. So David promised her that he would remember her words, and then Aunt Betsy hugged him and left. She didn't look backwards. She just shut the door behind her because maybe it was painful for her to leave David with Mr. Wickfield there. Mr. Wickfield's house was pleasant and peaceful. After dinner, Agnes played the piano, and I could see how devoted she was to her father. So, David was having a very comfortable and peaceful stay at Mr. Wickfield's house. And after dinner, Agnes used to play the piano, and she was very dedicated and devoted to her father. The next morning, Mr. Wickfield took me to my new school. So now David is going to his new school with Mr. Wickfield. He introduced me to Dr. Strong, the headmaster of the school. The head boy, Adams, showed me round and introduced me to the masters, that is, to the teachers. So the head boy, Adams, took him around the school. I was quite at ease but very cautious of the difference in learning and experience between other boys and myself. David was at ease in the new school, and at the same time he was very conscious of the difference in learning and experience between other boys and himself, because we all know he had a troubled childhood. So maybe his behavior is very different from the children who stay with their parents and who get the love and care of their parents. That evening, Mr. Wickfield asked me again if I thought I should like to stay on with him. I told him I would like that very much. So, when Mr. Wickfield asked him, he said that he would like to stay there. Good morning, Master Copperfield. I trust you'll have a good day at school. Thank you, Uriah, and I hope you will have a good day with your studies in law. I suppose you are quite a lawyer. Now, the next morning, David was ready to go to school, and on the steps, that is at the door, he meets Uriah, and Uriah greets him and tells him that that he hopes that he would have a good day at school. So David also thanked Uriah and said that you too would have a good day with your studies in a law. And then, in a very humorous way, he tells Uriah that he is quite a lawyer now because he was working with a lawyer for many years. So he himself would have learned so much about law that he is also quite a lawyer by now. Me, Master Copperfield? Oh no, I'm a very humble person. I'm well aware that I'm the humblest person going. Let the other be where he may. Likewise, my mother is a very humble person. We live in an humble abode, Master Copperfield, but have much to be thankful for. Now, when David said so Uriah protested to this. He said, no, no, I am a very humble person, and I know that I am the humblest person going. So Uriah says that he is a very humble person and he is not bothered about what others do, but he knows that he is very humble. He doesn't want to become a lawyer, and his mother is also a very humble person, and they live in a humble abode, that is a humble house, and they have enough to be thankful for. Have you been with Mr. Wickfield long? I asked. Going on 4 years, Mr. Copperfield, since a year after the death of my father. So earlier, Uriah's father used to work with Mr. Wickfield, and after his death, after a year, Uriah started working with Mr. Wickfield. So that day, I reached school quite early. In about 2 weeks, I was very contented there. I was not skillful in their games and quite backward in their studies, but practice would improve me in the first, I hoped, and hard work in the second. Fortunately, I proved myself in both. So, he was gradually getting used to the new school, he was getting acquainted to it, and in 2 weeks, he was quite satisfied there. He was not as skillful as the children already studying in that school in their games, and he was also backward in studies, but he knew that practice would improve him in the first and hard work in the second. That is, practice and hard work together will make him perfect, make him improve. So, and I proved myself in both. That is, he used to practice a lot and he used to put in a lot of hard work to improve his performance, to improve his work. Every third or fourth week, I visited Aunt Betsy in Dover, and on alternate Wednesdays, Mr. Dick would visit me. Mr. Dick befriended Dr. Strong and he became a popular figure at school. So, third or fourth week, Aunt Betsy he would visit in Dover, and alternate Wednesdays, that is after one Wednesday, and then next, not next, but the third Wednesday. That way, Mr. Dick would visit him, and Mr. Dick had become friends with Dr. Strong, the headmaster of the school, and he was quite a popular figure at school. Life at the Wickfield home was quiet and peaceful. To my comfort, Agnes became more of a sister to me than even Aunt Betsy could have ever imagined. Hence, my life at Canterbury was a happy and fruitful one. So, at Wickfield's home, he was life was very quiet and peaceful, and Agnes had become more of a sister to him, and he was so comfortable with Agnes that Aunt Betsy could not have ever imagined about it. So his life at Canterbury was a happy, and at the same time it was a very fruitful one. He was learning so many things there. So children, with this we come to the end of explanation of our chapter. Now we shall discuss the exercises. Now children, if you remember, I have already posted a video related to this chapter. So exercises A1, A2 and A3 are discussed already in that video. So now we shall start with exercise B, that is vocabulary. It's on page number 47. Read these sentences. Dick has promised to fly kites with me. Second sentence, he will not break his promise. Now the word promise is used as a verb in sentence 1 and as a noun in sentence 2. See, he has promised to fly kites with me. And then in sentence 2, he will not break his promise. So that is used as a noun. Now, how many words in English can function both as noun and as verb? Let's see them. Now, exercise B1. Read the words in the box taken from the reading passage. Circle the ones that can function both as noun and as verb. So, there's a list of 16 words given. Now, out of these, few words are such which cannot function as noun and as verbs, whereas few of them can function both as a noun and as a verb. So you have to check them. You have to frame sentences and find out that which of these can work both as a noun and as a verb. I'll discuss few with you. Like first one, pause. I say, please pause the video. Okay, please pause the video. So here the word pause is used as a verb. He took a pause in his dance performance, or he took a pause while delivering a speech. So here the word pause is used as a noun. So you can circle the word pause. It is used both as a noun and as a verb. Okay, let's see the next word, friend. Now let's take example. Sohan is my friend. So here the word friend is used as a noun, but friend cannot be used as a verb. We can use, like in the lesson, you must have come across the word befriended. Mr. Dick befriended with Dr. Strong. So here we can use befriended, but the word friend is used only as a noun. It cannot be used as a verb. So in the same way, you have to check all the other words given and find out which of them can be used both as noun and as a verb. Right? And now exercise B2. Now you have to form two sentences with each word you have circled in B1, and you have to use each word which you have selected. Say the word pause. You have to use each word as a noun and as a verb. I hope the question is clear to you. and you are clear what you have to do. That is frame sentences. Now exercise C is a grammar point and it is about reported speech. Reported speech actually we shall be covering as a full-fledged grammar point later. Okay, so at present we are not going to do exercise C because that is a grammar point and we are going to cover it later. Let's see the next exercise, that is exercise D, listening and speaking. D1. Listen to your teacher read out a poem. Read the poem below with several words missing. Fill in the blanks as the teacher reads the poem the second time. So here in this listening skill, the children's R poem is given and I am going to read the audio transcript of this poem. First, you have to listen it carefully, fill in the blanks if possible. Then I'll read it again. When I read it a second time, you try and fill in the given blanks in the poem. The children's are. Now I shall begin reading the poem. Listen carefully. Between the dark and daylight, when the night is beginning to lower, comes a pause in day's occupations that is known as the children's hour. I hear in the chamber above me the patter of little feet, the sound of a door that is opened, and voices soft and sweet. From my study, I see in the lamplight descending the broad hall stair, grave Alice and laughing Allegra, and Edith with golden hair. A whisper and then a silence, yet I know by their merry eyes they are plotting and planning together to take me by surprise. A sudden rush from the stairway, a sudden raid from the hall, by 3 doors left unguarded, they enter my castle wall. This poem is by Henry Longfellow. So hope you could fill in a few blanks when I read this. Now I shall be reading it one more time. So try and fill in the blanks. So here I begin. The children's are. Between the dark and daylight, when the night is beginning to lower, comes a pause in the Sunday's occupations that is known as the children's hour. I hear in the chambers above me the patter of little feet, the sound of a door that is opened, and voices soft and sweet. From my study, I see in the lamplight descending the broad hall stair, grave Alice and laughing Allegra, and Edith with golden hair. A whisper and then a silence, yet I know by their merry eyes they are plotting and planning together to take me by surprise. A sudden rush from the stairway, a sudden raid from the hall, by 3 doors left unguarded, they enter my castle wall. So children, I hope you have filled in the blanks. Now this was your listening skill. Shall I give you the answers? Okay, let me give you the answers. The first blank is, the answer to first blank is daylight. then lower, then in third line it's the days, next line known, second paragraph first line chamber, then next is better, after that is opened, next is soft, third paragraph first line lamplight, then hall stair, golden hair, next is merry eyes, plotting, and then rush, raid, and last one is doors left. Okay, I hope you have checked the answers which I just spoke. Now let's come to the speaking skill, that is D2. Hold a classroom debate on the topic boarding schools are better than day schools. Okay, now children, since you know we are in a virtual classroom, we are not in actual classroom, so holding this debate is not easy, it's almost not possible, but we shall hold a debate on the topic during our online class. So I would expect you all to write a few points on this topic. Boarding schools are better than day schools. What is your opinion? You just write it down in your rough book so that during our live class we can have this session. We can have this kind of debate. Right? Let's come to the next one. Writing. Writing a letter. Imagine you are David Copperfield and you have been admitted to the boarding school. Write a letter to Mr Wickfield thanking him for his support. Express your gratitude for the comfortable and pleasant time you spent at his home. Also convey to him your determination to do well and make him and your aunt proud of you. So here you have to write a letter to Mr Wickfield. Okay, you have to thank him for his support. You knew him only in Canterbury and he was the one who took you to the school. He also made arrangements at his home for your stay. So, and the stay was very comfortable and pleasant, right? So you have to convey thanks to him. You have to express your gratitude to him for all this. And at the same time, you have to convey to him your determination to do well, that you will be doing it well. You have decided that you will make him as well as your aunt proud of you. So this letter you have to write. These points you may cover. Okay. Let's come to the next one. In pairs, write a debate on the topic boarding schools are better than day schools. One of you will write for the motion and the other against the motion. Now what is for the motion? For the motion is in favor of the motion. Motion is the topic which we are going to discuss. That is, one of you will write that boarding schools are better than day schools and the other one against the motion. That is against the topic. That is, boarding schools are not better than day schools. So you have to debate on that topic. Okay, and what are you going to write in the debate and how you are going to write in the debate? The points are given. To write a debate, how you have to write a debate? Begin by addressing the jury and the audience. Jury is the panel of the judges. You have to address them. You have to address the audience who is present there to listen and to encourage you. So you have to address both of them. Next point is specify whether you wish to speak for or against the motion. It should be very clearly mentioned to the jury as well as the audience. That is, either you are in favor of the topic or you are against the topic. So, what are you speaking for? Are you speaking for the topic or against the topic? That should be very clearly mentioned in your speech. Next is refer to examples from real life, history, literature to make your viewpoint convincing. See, whatever you are presenting, whether you are for the motion or against the motion, you need to convince the audience that whatever you are saying is absolutely correct. You have to convince them, you have to satisfy them that what you are saying is absolutely fine, and you have to take examples from your real life day-to-day experiences. You can quote something from history, you can even write a few points from literature. So that way you have to prepare your debate. Conclude with great conviction. In the end, you have to tell your audience, or you have to convince them that what you are saying is right. Whether you are against boarding school or whether you are in favor of that, whatever you are saying, the audience should also feel the same. They should feel that whatever this person is saying is absolutely correct, right? And then don't forget to thank the audience for being patient, for sparing time for you. So you have to thank the audience as well, right? So this is how you are going to write the debate. As I mentioned earlier, you have to write it, jot down a few points, whether for the motion or against the motion, and we shall discuss it during our live class, during our online class. Fine? Right. Let's see next one. Next is E3, vices to avoid. At the moment of parting, Aunt Betsy gave this advice to David: never be mean, never be cruel, never be false. Can you add to the list 3 more vices to avoid? Now, vices, as I told you, are wrong habits, and Miss Betsy, while leaving David with Wickfields, had given this 3 advice to David. Now, I would like you to add 3 more vices which we should avoid in our day-to-day life. So, what you have to do is, it's not very difficult. If you see around, you will find that there are some vices which we don't appreciate in our day-to-day life. So, these 3 kind of vices you have to add to the list. Fine. So, that is again we will discuss during our online class, what are the vices added by you. Fine, children. So, with this we come to the end of our today's session. Bye. Take care. Thank you.